The hum of fluorescent lights was the only sound left in the building when Darius Cole's voice cut through the silence. "You're still here," he said quietly, his tone carrying both surprise and reprimand. Amora Bisi didn't look up from her screen. "I was finalizing the client edits. I didn't want to risk another disappointment." "Another?" He took a slow step forward. "You think I'm that difficult to satisfy?" Her fingers hesitated above the keyboard. "You have a reputation, sir." A faint chuckle escaped him as he came to stand behind her chair. "Reputations are built on fear, not facts." She turned then, their faces inches apart. Lightning split the sky outside, momentarily painting his features in white light. For the first time, she saw it, the exhaustion and isolation buried beneath the confidence he wore like armor. "Why do you push yourself so hard, Amora?" Darius asked, voice low. "Feels like you're running from something." Her breath caught. "Maybe I am," she whispered. "Maybe we both are." He didn't answer. His gaze drifted over her face before he looked away, the tension between them thick as the storm outside. "Go home before the rain gets worse," he murmured. She rose, brushing past him toward the door. But just as her fingers touched the handle, thunder cracked, and the lights died, plunging the room into darkness. "Darius," she breathed, startled that she'd used his first name. He was closer than she'd realized. "You're not afraid of me, are you?" Her pulse stumbled. "Should I be? Most people are." A flash of lightning revealed him again, broad-shouldered, unreadable, his hand hovering near her face but never touching. His eyes searched hers, asking a question he couldn't voice. For one suspended heartbeat, neither moved. Then, softly, "Go home, Amora." He turned and disappeared into the dark. She stood frozen, the storm raging both outside and inside her chest, knowing something irreversible had just shifted. 3 weeks earlier, Amora had stepped into Cole Group's towering headquarters for the first time. The building was a shrine to wealth, marble floors gleaming like mirrors, air perfumed with power and expensive cologne. Whispers followed her that first morning. "Don't cross Darius Cole." The man was more than a CEO, he was an urban legend. A self-made billionaire known for dismantling competitors as easily as others breathed. But none of the articles or rumors prepared her for the real man. When he entered the glass conference room, the temperature seemed to drop. Tall, dark-skinned, and cut with precision, Darius moved with the ease of someone who owned every inch of space he entered. "Miss Bisi," he greeted, baritone deep and unhurried. "Your resume claims efficiency. Let's see if it's true." "I don't exaggerate, sir. I deliver." His lips quirked in the faintest smirk. "We'll see." The meeting that followed was chaos. He fired off directives like bullets, dissected presentations, demanded perfection in seconds. By noon, her nerves burned, but she refused to falter. That night, when everyone else had gone, she remained, editing his proposal beneath the hum of her desk lamp. She didn't hear him approach until his shadow crossed her keyboard, until that voice, quiet and commanding, said, "You're still here." It was the beginning of everything that would follow, the night the storm first began to stir. The next morning, Amora arrived before dawn. The streets of Lagos were still half asleep, the city's noise only beginning to rise. Inside Cole Group's glass tower, the stillness felt heavier, like the air itself carried secrets. She couldn't stop thinking about the folder she'd found on Darius's desk the night before. The label was simple, Noah. One name, nothing else. But it had clung to her mind like a whisper she wasn't meant to hear. At exactly 7, Darius appeared through the glass partition of his office, already on a call. "No one touches that land until I say so." His tone was sharp, final. "I don't care what the board wants." He hung up and stared out at the skyline, shoulders tense, eyes hollow from a night without rest. Amora hesitated, then knocked softly. "Sir, the revised proposal is ready." "Leave it on the desk," he said without looking up. She obeyed but couldn't help glancing around the sleek office, its controlled symmetry, its sterile perfection. Then she saw it, a silver picture frame half hidden beneath a stack of documents. A child's smile peeked through the corner of the glass. Darius's voice snapped her back. "Do you make it a habit to stare at my personal things, Miss Bisi?" I wasn't," she stammered. "I'm sorry, sir." He rose from his chair, moving closer, deliberate in every step. "Curiosity," he said quietly, "is dangerous in this company." Her throat tightened. He was intimidating in every sense, the cut of his suit, the measured power in his stillness. But for the first time, there was something else in his gaze. Not just command. Regret. You did good work yesterday, he said finally. Better than most. The compliment struck her harder than the reprimand. Thank you, sir. He gave a small nod, turning away, and she took that as her cue to leave. But as she brushed the edge of the desk, her sleeve caught the frame. It toppled forward, landing face up. The photo stared up at her, a boy, no older than 6, smiling with the same piercing eyes that Darius had, the resemblance undeniable. He froze. For the first time since she'd met him, his composure cracked. The mask slipped, and what she saw behind it wasn't anger, it was fear. He picked up the frame carefully and set it back down. Forget what you saw. Her voice trembled. Who is he? His nobody, he said too quickly, the lie hanging thick in the air. She knew better. There was truth hiding in that picture, buried under layers of silence and shame. When she left the office, her heart was pounding. That name, Noah, now had a face, a story, and a secret powerful enough to shake the man everyone else feared. That night, rain fell again, tapping against the tall glass like a warning. Amara stayed long after the others had gone, her screen the only glow in the darkened floor. Every keystroke echoed the same question. Who is Noah? Then came the sound of footsteps. Slow, steady, unmistakable. She turned. Darius stood in the doorway, tie loosened, sleeves rolled to his forearms. The stormlight painted him in shades of fatigue and danger. You're still here, he said softly. Her chest tightened. The memory of the last storm flashed in her mind. The darkness, the closeness, the way his voice had made her pulse stumble. I wanted the proposal ready before morning, she replied. He nodded once, expression unreadable. You're not like the others, he murmured. Most people run after the first week. Amara held his gaze. I don't run from challenges. The corner of his mouth twitched, but his eyes lingered too long before he looked away. Don't let that confidence turn into arrogance, Miss Beasy. Ambition destroys the unprepared. When he left, the air still hummed around her. And under the hum, his secret echoed like thunder. 3 days passed since the storm that had left Amara trembling in the dark, and yet the memory of Darius's nearness clung to her like the scent of rain. He hadn't spoken more than a few words to her since. His voice, when it came, was all business, brief instructions, clipped acknowledgments. But silence could be its own kind of conversation, and every glance he cast across the boardroom said what neither dared to. That Friday morning, a message arrived. You'll accompany me to the estate outside Lekki. Bring the project files. She didn't question it. Nobody did when Darius Cole gave an order. The drive out of Lagos was quiet, the city's chaos fading into the hum of rain-washed roads and palm trees swaying along the highway. Darius said nothing, eyes fixed on the horizon, his phone silent for once. The air between them pulsed with unspoken things. When they reached the estate, Amara was struck by the contrast. The man who ruled skyscrapers lived surrounded by calm, lush gardens, white walls, fountains whispering in the distance. It didn't feel like a place for business. It felt like a place someone hid from the world. While Darius stepped aside to take a call, Amara wandered through the garden, drawn by the sound of laughter. It was light, pure, disarming. A small boy, barefoot, curls bouncing, was chasing butterflies across the grass. He couldn't have been more than 7. His laughter filled the air like sunlight after rain. Amara froze when their eyes met. The resemblance struck her like lightning. Same gaze. Same fire. Same quiet sadness she'd seen in Darius. The boy grinned. Hi, Auntie. You look lost. She knelt to his height, heart fluttering. Maybe I am. What's your name? Noah, he said proudly. What's yours? Her lips parted, but before she could answer, a shadow fell across them. Noah. Darius's voice came, sharp and urgent. The boy turned instantly. Daddy. The word froze Amara in place. Darius's tone softened as he crouched to the child's level. What did I tell you about talking to strangers? She's not a stranger, Noah protested. She's nice. Amara rose slowly, her heart thudding against her ribs. Mr. Cole, That's enough, he cut in, voice low, final. Go inside, Noah. The boy obeyed, though he looked back with wide, curious eyes before disappearing into the house. When they were alone, Darius exhaled like a man holding back a storm. You weren't supposed to meet him. Amara's voice trembled. He's your son. He said nothing at first, jaw tight, eyes unreadable. Finally, he turned away. You will not speak of this to anyone. She stepped closer, the question leaving her lips before she could stop it. Why hide him? For the first time, his expression cracked. The mask dropped, and she saw the man behind the empire, haunted, human, hurting. Because the world already took one family from me, he said quietly. I won't let it happen again. His words hung between them, fragile as glass. Then he walked away, shoulders rigid, leaving Amara rooted among the roses, her heart splintering under the weight of what she'd just learned. That night, back in the city, Amara couldn't sleep. She kept seeing Noah's smile and Darius's eyes, the same eyes, filled with the same ache. She realized she hadn't just stumbled upon a secret. She'd stepped into the most dangerous part of his life, his heart. And once inside, there would be no easy way out. Sleep was a stranger that night. Amara lay awake, replaying the day in fragments. The garden, the boys' laughter, Darius's eyes when she'd said he's your son. There had been fear in them, yes, but also something else, sorrow. By morning, Cole Group buzzed like a hive. A rival company had leaked internal documents, and the press was circling. But through all the chaos, Darius remained unseen. He had shut himself inside his office, blinds drawn, calls unanswered. Amara waited until evening before she found the courage to knock. Come in, came his voice, hoarse and low. The room was dim. Darius sat behind his desk, the only light coming from a single lamp beside him. In his hand was the same cracked picture frame she had seen before, the one with Noah's smile frozen behind glass. You should have stayed away from the garden, he said without looking up. I didn't plan to meet him, she replied softly. But I'm not sorry I did. He's a good boy, Darius. He deserves to know you. His grip on the frame tightened. You think I don't know that? He stood abruptly, pacing toward the window. I had a family once, Amara. A woman I loved more than anything. They burned her alive in a fire meant for me. The words hit her like a blow. He turned, eyes dark and glistening with a fury too old to fade. If they ever find out about Noah, they'll kill him too. Her breath trembled. Who would do that? The same men I built this empire with, he said bitterly. They couldn't stand that a man with nothing rose higher than them. So they made sure I paid. Amara's voice softened. You've been living like this for years, hiding him, lying to everyone, protecting him alone. Not lying, he corrected, then lowered his tone. Surviving. The silence that followed was heavy, filled with everything he couldn't say. Every night, he continued quietly, I hear her screams. I see the fire. And I promise myself I'll never let Noah suffer that fate. Amara stepped closer, heart aching. And what about you? Who protects you, Darius? He looked at her then, really looked, and for the first time, the walls he'd spent years building began to crack. You shouldn't care, he murmured, his voice frayed at the edges. I'm not a good man. Maybe not, she whispered. But even broken men deserve to be seen. Something broke inside him. He reached for her, hesitant at first, as if afraid she'd vanish if he touched her. His fingers brushed her cheek, rough, trembling, real. She didn't pull away. For one suspended heartbeat, the storm between them went silent. Then, as if remembering who he was, he stepped back, his jaw tightening. Go home, Amara, before I forget who I'm supposed to be. She hesitated, eyes glistening. You already have. When she left, Darius stayed where he was, staring at the cracked photograph. The glass shimmered in the faint light like the reflection of a life shattered long ago. He realized then that Amara Bisi had done what no board member, no rival, no threat ever could. She had found the weakness in his armor. And the worst part was, he didn't want it back. The week that followed was chaos incarnate. A blurry photograph of Noah had surfaced online, and by morning, it had become wildfire. Billionaire Darius Cole's hidden son. Headlines screamed betrayal, cover-up, scandal. Cameras crowded the gates of Cole Group, hungry for blood. Inside, the office was drowning in panic, calls unanswered, investors retreating, board members whispering resignation. Darius moved through the wreckage like a ghost, his face calm but eyes burning beneath the surface. Amara could see it, the storm gathering behind his restraint. Late one night, when the last of the staff had fled, she found him alone in the boardroom. The city glowed through the glass like an ocean of fire. He sat in the dark, his reflection framed by the skyline, half man, half memory. They are coming for you, she said quietly, closing the door behind her. The press won't stop until they get proof. He didn't look up. They'll get nothing. My walls are stronger than their headlines. She stepped closer. You've built walls around everything, even yourself. That made him lift his gaze. The exhaustion there cut deeper than anger. You think I don't feel it? You think I don't look into that boy's eyes every day and remember the life I destroyed? You didn't destroy it, she whispered. You survived it. He gave a bitter laugh. Survival's overrated. You just keep breathing while everything you love burns. He turned away, but her voice stopped him. And what about what's left, Darius? Don't burn that too. The air thickened, electric. He moved toward her slowly, every step heavy with the pull neither could deny. When he stopped in front of her, the world outside ceased to exist. Do you have any idea what you do to me, Amora? His tone was low, dangerous. Every time I see you, I lose the control that's kept me alive. Her breath shuddered. Then stop fighting it. His hand brushed the side of her neck, calloused fingertips trembling. You make me want things I have no right to want. For a heartbeat, reason dissolved. His lips hovered near hers, the air trembling between them. Then the intercom buzzed sharply, his assistant's voice slicing through the moment. Sir, the press conference is ready. The spell shattered. Darius stepped back, mask returning. We'll talk later, he said, voice rough from what he didn't say. By morning, chaos had a new face. The company's stock had crashed, the gates swarmed with journalists. Is it true, Miss BC? Are you the boy's mother? They shouted as she pushed past cameras, silent, heart pounding. Inside, Darius stood like a general at the center of war. Find the leak, he ordered. Move Noah to the safe house immediately. But then his phone rang. One look at his face told Amora something had gone terribly wrong. What is it? She asked. They've taken him, he said flatly. The world tilted. What do you mean taken? Noah. He's gone. For the first time, the unbreakable man broke. Without hesitation, Amora grabbed her bag. Then we go. You're not coming, he snapped. You don't get to decide that, she said fiercely. You may have the power, Darius, but you're not the only one who loves that boy. Something inside him gave way. He nodded once. Then we go. 2 nights later, they found Noah in an abandoned villa outside Abaddon, frightened but unharmed. On the wall, in red paint, the message read, Even kings bleed. When Darius saw his son, he fell to his knees, pulling him close. I'm here now. No one will ever hurt you again. Amora stood aside, tears streaming. The empire he'd fought to protect wasn't made of glass and money. It was right there in that boy's arms. Days later, facing the cameras, Darius stood tall beside Amora and Noah. Yes, he said, voice steady. He's my son. I hid him out of fear. That fear cost me everything. But I won't hide anymore. The world erupted. Praise, condemnation, disbelief. Darius didn't care. For the first time, he was free. That evening, in the quiet of his stripped office, Amora found him watching the fading skyline. You lost everything today, she murmured. He turned to her, and for the first time in months, smiled. No, Amora. I finally earned something worth keeping. Her lips curved. And what's that? He reached out, tracing her fingers gently. A woman who saw the man beneath the myth. Their kiss was soft, no longer forbidden, just real. When Noah burst in moments later, laughing, shouting, Mamamara, she smiled through her tears as Darius took her hand. Outside, the city roared, alive and unforgiving. But inside, the storm had finally broken, and from the wreckage, something stronger had risen. A family.